You're wondering what North Texas is like in the late spring and early summer. Well, yeah, you're right. I hear you back there. Hot. It is hot. It is usually hot. If you're wondering what North Texas is like in the late spring and early summer. Well, yeah, you're right. I hear you back there. Hot. It is hot. It is usually hot. You know what else it is? Humid. Stupid humid. And it's also seasonal. What do I mean by seasonal? Well, it could be cool in the morning, hot by lunch, raining after lunch, kind of cool again, and then hot by 5. Yep, seasonal. All right, everybody, it is Monday. It is not morning. We had a storm and over the weekend, and even though I had this dude wrapped up pretty well, still had a little bit of rain get in it, so I had to spend the first part of the day just cleaning this dude back out. Now, I apologize that y'all didn't get the best view the other day. You know, this is our first time doing these sort of videos on transmissions, and I tell you what, it's hard to figure out how to actually shoot it, but I have ideas for the future. And if you have ideas for me, go ahead and bloop them down there in the bottom. What's up, Derek? Yeah, we like you around here too. So I'm gonna explain kind of what we did to kind of make it easier for you. Your synchronizer assembly, what I'm going to recommend you do is zip tie that bad boy together, all the little stuff, top and bottom, you know, in at least 2 places, and then zip tie it to the arm, to the shifting arm, and then do that again for the gear assembly, and then the next set of synchronizers. It's a handful of zip ties, but this is a handful of a lot to work with, and you're just gonna have to slide your shaft in, okay, from the front, you know, slide it through there, and as you get them in them, you're just gonna have to cut your zip ties and pull them dudes out one set at a time as you slide through the gears. And then when you get here, you should have a snap ring kind of hanging out on the shaft, or it could still be in your housing depending on what you did. But what you're gonna do is get all of you need your shaft to slide all the way through that bearing right there, so that you have enough clearance for all of that there. So with that said, we're just gonna whip on around here to the back and give you a look-see look inside, and now you can see what I mean. That shaft sticking through that bearing a pretty good bit. That end is secure. I always seem to get a message right at the wrong time. It's all right though, it'll be fine. So with that said, now I'm gonna take my bearing. It's just gonna pop right here like that, and then we'll get it to, you know, we'll get it on there. And when I do, then there's a little 3 bolts and a plate set up that screws to that and kind of holds that all together. So with that said, I'm gonna get set up, and then we'll time lapse this through. So here we go. All right, everybody, so I just realized yesterday afternoon, whenever we got ready to shut it down, that the camera was already off. I don't know how much you missed, but I apologize. So we're going to just walk you through it. As you can see, I've already got my cover on. Yesterday we got our main shaft in. There's a couple little plates that goes over each bearing that kind of provides a little bit of cover protection. And then we got our input shaft in for our PTO. Each one of these, if you'll notice, has a snap ring, which you probably noticed in the disassembly video, so you'll need to use those. And there's of course this bearing right here you may or may not have taken out or had to replace, but notice that it also has snap rings in both in front and back. So I still got to put my snap ring here on the PTO shaft. And then the only other thing of note to point out is there is now a snap ring on the shaft, not just on the bearing, but on the shaft holding it to the bearing. So with that said, it should kind of have you caught up with what you may have missed yesterday. So I'm gonna get set up, we're gonna get over it. All right, everybody, so we had to pull the input shafts back out, and because we'd found a problem. We found might actually have been what led to the original failure of this transmission, and it may have led to yours. Let's go look, I'll show you. I'm sorry about the wind, it's really windy. We keep having storms. Yeah, it's late spring in Texas. So anyway, if we get around here, so the shaft that actually holds the shift, the synchronizers and the synchronizer forks and whatnot into place, this is actually held into place with a drift pin, a little roll pin. It goes right through here, okay? And if you'll notice, see these, they're in two pieces. Yeah, that's it's supposed to be one piece. So whenever that broke, it was allowing this shaft to move forward and back as you were trying to shift. So you'd be moving your shifter, but yet this was moving instead of the shifter. That's probably what led to the failure. So with that said, now we'll be able to get our input shafts and everything put back in. And so I guess without further ado, here we go with that. All right, everybody, it's windy. It sounds like we're in a barnyard and we're gonna make do. We've got our tractor pretty well ready to put back together today, and we're gonna do just that. So here in just a few moments, I've got to finish putting in, matter of fact, let me show you this. I bet you ain't got an IV pole for a tripod. Come on, y'all folks, subscribe so we can get better gear. All right, you've got a plastic tube here. It has two O-rings. While you got this apart, go ahead and replace those O-rings, by the way. If you're curious, they're the number 3 in a John Deere O-ring kit if you have an O-ring kit from John Deere. I'm just saying, I know this is case, but they work. So once you got your O-rings and you greased them up at both ends, go ahead and slide that dude the rest of the way in. I'm gonna do that on time lapse because it's a little cantankerous, and you'll find that out on your own. So after that, Chris is gonna come out here and we are going to put these two back together and see if we can't make this a complete tractor again instead of 3 big old giant pieces. So here we go. Alright folks, it is a different day. Again, we got stormed out again yesterday. It came a big flood. Wasn't even supposed to rain, but which brings me to a point. If you're wondering what North Texas is like in the late spring and early summer, well, yeah, you're right. I hear you back there. Hot. It is hot. It is usually hot. Alright, so where we are on this, I'm going to take off these lines here that are in the way of the top cover, because this top cover here has a pipe that goes down in it, and I've got to make sure that it's good to go, because it's got to be on there before the lid can go on. So that said, here we go. Alright, so got the rear portion of the diff back on, but bolted up good and tight. We still got to raise up our 3-point system there and bolt it back in where it goes. But with that said, going ahead and starting on the covers, I've got this one already glued down. It's ready to go, so I'm going to mount it here in just a moment. As for this, let me move some stuff where maybe you can make some sense of it. Okay, so by now you figured out that there's a little cable under this plate. Let me see if I can do this. There's a plate with a mounting bracket right in there. And by now you figured out that you're going to have to use 2 bolts to mount that down. And if you notice, if you come to the passenger side of the tractor, you have enough room after you screw the bracket to the cable. Okay, there's those two nuts, you lock them together. That holds the bracket, okay? That adjusting bracket. Now once you have that locked to the cable, then you can reach through here, push your bolts up, and then lock them down nice and tight. So it's not as bad going back as it is getting it apart, I can tell you that. So I'm going to go back and check my footage because I don't remember the orientation, if it was this way or this way. So I don't know if y'all hear that or not, but that's my stomach. It's about lunchtime. But anyway, I'm fixing to glue this one on, and I'll probably go ahead and do these two as well, just so we can limit stuff falling in there. I don't know, I might wait on that one in the back just because of that. So all right, I'm gonna throw it to time lapse and we'll get that cover bolted down and whatnot and see what else we can get done. Okay, so I didn't really get to film a thing yesterday. I mean, we keep having all of this weather, and you can see it's pretty inclement today in North Texas. It's nice right now because later there's supposed to be a heat index of like 107. It's stupid. So all of this moisture is just humidity for it. But I went ahead and did most of the plumbing off camera. I mean, the one thing I've been hearing in feedback and comments for the other videos is that y'all want to see less time lapse and more of the actual getting the stuff together. So I'm gonna do my best to do just that, and I'm actually producing another video. Maybe it'll be over there, I don't know yet, but we'll be discussing just that. And if you have feedback, post it down below. We'd love to hear from you. So today, this cab back on this tractor, make it look like one piece again. We're getting close to wrapping this one up. So with that said, look, we're not going to be completely without time lapse, but to tell you what, we'll be without time lapse in the places where it matters. Okay, and I'll try to keep from boring you with stuff too. If I'm doing it right, let me know. If I'm not, crow about it. Thanks. Okay, folks, we got this thing all wrapped up. It goes forward, it goes backward. We're gonna take this dude home. Maybe you'll go along for the ride too. So, without further ado, let's get out of here. Get you a load of that, would you? When it first showed up, folks, it only had reverse. And now here it is with all its forward gears. Like he's fixing to check it here. Looks like he's already found it. That tractor's pretty close to as old as I am, y'all. So, with that said, at the time of this filming, I am 47. Hey everybody, thanks for watching.
Please subscribe and hit the like button.
And don't forget to share and hit that notification bell.